GST has crossed the 1,65,000 crore rupee mark. My colleague Kartik Malhotra walking into the studio to give a lowdown of what the numbers are looking like. And it's a brilliant number. Over 1 lakh crore is what the government has been targeting consistently, and it has come in at that.
Much higher than that, Shweta. Hi, good morning to you. I think 1.6 lakh crore has pretty much become the average of GST collection on a monthly basis. Now, if you look at data of the last 6 months, we've just completed H1, April to September. If you look at the last 6 months, 4 out of these 6 months have actually seen a GST collection number over 1.6 lakh crore rupees. And the latest data coming in for September stacked up beautifully at 1.62 lakh crores. Now, where are the leaders and where are the laggards? I think it's important to understand that. Before we get into that, I think a bit of context. You've seen inflation reaching 7% and higher numbers. It settled down to about 6.8% or so, but if you average it out for the April to September quarter, a 7% inflation would result in any goods and services you purchase on an average being about 7% more expensive. That means 7% more tax collection for the government is by default a direct impact of inflation.
Okay.
Now, if you look at a year-to-year basis, September last year versus September this year, GST collection has gone up about 10%. So, if you were to discard the 7% inflation adjustment, then the actual increase is just about 3%, 3.5% or so, depending on how you calculate it. Now, okay, nothing to complain about it. I think overall GST collection going up is an indication of a robust economy, is an indication of consumption picking up. Now, juxtapose this with other data, for example, car sales. Maruti alone touching 1 million cars sold. Look at other data that we've been, touching upon almost on a daily basis. Cash transaction is down. But at the same time, you have seen this growth in retail loans. You've seen people living off credit, which means overall the consumption story is robust, and that is clearly reflecting in the GST data as well. Now, who are the leaders, who are the laggards? I think it's important to note that Maharashtra, the state of Maharashtra, has contributed to the highest GST collection at about 25,000 crore rupees. Now, next in line stacks up Karnataka, followed by Gujarat and Tamil Nadu, all in the range of about 10,000 to 11,000 crore rupees. Haryana and Uttar Pradesh come next, a little short of 10,000 crore rupees. Haryana at about 8,000 crore rupees, Uttar Pradesh at about 7,000 crore or so. Now, interestingly, you've seen degrowth of GST collection happening in a state like Bihar.
Okay.
Bihar has degrown about 5% on a year-to-year basis.
What does that tell us?
So, it tells us that perhaps, the consumption story is not looking too good in a state like Bihar right now. In fact, even the caste survey released just yesterday, it shows that about 80% of Bihar's population, 85% or so, is in the SC, ST, OBC bracket. But if you leave that aside, I think what the story really tells you on GST collection is that the industrial states are raking up the numbers. You look at Tamil Nadu, you look at Gujarat, you look at Maharashtra, you look at Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka. These are your top industrial states which are contributing in good measure to GST collection. So, GST collection, it seems from the data, is happening more on the back of manufacturing, more on the back of goods and services being produced, and not as much when it comes specifically to a consumption-linked story. Okay. But overall, the numbers, I think, are adding up well, and it indicates that there is a buoyancy in tax collection overall for the country.
And there's buoyancy. It's good news for the government, at least more money in government's coffers. It's a very crucial year. We keep discussing right ahead of the election season. But it's not just GST. It's also the securities transaction tax, which is likely to surpass budget estimate.
That's right, Shweta. So, budget 2023, this year, 1st February, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman had raised the target of security transaction tax, STT, collection by about 10.5% or so to 27,000 crore rupees. From data which is emerging right now, at least in the first half of the year, it seems we are well ahead of that target. Now, security transaction tax ranges between 0.025% to 0.125%, depending on whether you're buying, you're selling, future options, spot trading, etc. So, STT collection for the first half of the year, again adding up well above that 10.5% target. And it seems that the budgetary estimate of about 27,000 crore rupees should easily get surpassed.
All right. And it is expected. We are adding new investors. each passing day. In fact, the story that we discussed on Friday.
The beauty. If you look at all the data emerging from everywhere, it's all adding up to this buoyancy, which is good news. You're seeing manufacturing activity pick up, reflected in the CPI numbers, right? You see that that overall there is more consumption happening by account of new houses being purchased, by new cars being purchased, and more number of investors getting added into the securities market. So, overall, I think when you look at it, you look at the EPFO data, employment getting added, right? And now we are heading into festive season. So, all this consumption is likely to only, grow even higher in the next 2 months of October and November. Overall, the picture is looking good.
And people are also investing. They're also spending, which it essentially means that there is more discretionary money in the hands of people.
If not only discretionary money available, I think there is the surety of continued income coming in.
Right.
So you don't want to really save for the rainy day because you don't see a rainy day on the anvil.
Okay.
You believe that yes, employment numbers are good. You will be able to jump from one job to another. There is easy access to loans. Even though they are expensive because we are in a high interest rate cycle right now.
Right.
But you know that loan is available. You don't really want to save up. You don't want to keep money in the bank, which is not even going to beat inflation, and hence adding to the overall consumption story in the country.
All right.